Okay, it's day 56, and here's the stories that we're working on this morning. First, for your flashback, if you want to go back 1 year from today, I was talking about how Obama didn't bomb, and they provoked him. Mike Morrell provoked him with these two gas attacks. He was supposed to bomb, so real quickly.
Turkish intelligence and Obama and John Kerry, along with Erdogan. And basically in this meeting, Erdogan keeps trying to bring in this Turkish intelligence guy, Fidan, keeps trying to bring him into the conversation. And this is where Fidan trying to say, well, Mr. President, you said that there was this red line in Syria. If they used gas, you would attack, you would bomb. And they had a big bombing campaign all lined up. And this is where Fidan is waving his finger twice at the president, saying, you said, red line, that you would bomb. So this is where Obama stops him and says, hey, we know, because we did testing at Porton-Down in England. We know it was Gaddafi's gas, not Assad's.
Okay, so just so everyone remembers that's going to be a key moment in Obama's presidency. We'll move on to day 117 now. If you remember, we went to Haiti in day 117. We were looking at Clinton Foundation. We were looking at things that the Clinton Foundation did in Arkansas that kind of got moved to Haiti, especially around the idea of blood mining of the prisoners and organ recovery when prisoners died from brain hemorrhage and so forth. And I'm not backing away from organ recovery. I did a show there about LAOR right here, LAORA, and this Life Alliance Organ Recovery Agency. And this was an agency, this LAORA in Miami, that was given a vote of no confidence when Donna Shalala ran it at the University of Miami. And I think it was November 2015. And the project was called MediShare, and there was these three MediShare hospitals. It's almost like if you were a medic on the battlefield and you said, well, we're triaging this one's going to die. Hey, we could helicopter this out of here and save these organs. It sounds like that's the project. I'm not saying they're killing people and hemorrhaging prisoners to get the organs like Kosovo, but what I am saying is it sounds like they had a kind of a phone network with the medics to say, hey, come get one, while this one's still alive, which could be actually a very life-saving thing. So I want everybody to understand what I mean by organ recovery versus organ harvesting. Okay, so we're going to move on to Rod Rosenstein. And I had said yesterday that his wife was this gal who was this lawyer for Health and Human Services, where Donna Shalala worked, and also she worked at NIH, which is the National Institute of Health, in Bethesda, Maryland. And I believe they live in Bethesda, Maryland. And here's the family. There's the wife. There's Rod Rosenstein getting sworn in. There's two daughters. He may have a third stepdaughter by the name of Lisa Page. We'll find out if that's true or not. In which case that would be a very solid link between Andrew McCabe and Lisa Page. Actually almost a direct line into Rod Rosenstein. So anyway, it goes into the dismissal of Comey. I believe the dismissal of Comey, and when you combine the fact that he met with Mueller the day before, Mueller convinced Trump to dismiss Comey, and I believe that James Comey was stabbed in the back by Mueller and McCabe. I'll just say it right there. They made a recommendation about 10 days earlier with Trump to start gathering evidence on Comey, and then they did a stab in the back. And the reason is Comey was he was happy to do the arms and pay to play, but he's always been uncomfortable with this drug business, and things like organ recovery and things like that. So torture in Haiti and so forth, and the other not so great things that the Clinton Foundation got involved in. And this is Lisa Barsoomian. This is Lisa Barsoomian, an American lawyer, okay, National Institutes of Health. She went to Maryland Law School and so forth. So there's a lot of people on the internet saying, no, there's no such thing as a Lisa Barsoomian. Then I put out her alias, and then people said that's just ridiculous. Well, it turns out, I don't remember Loretta Lynch using an alias of, I believe it was Elizabeth Carlisle. You had a whole bunch of people using aliases like Hillary, Obama, and I believe there's also Chelsea was using an alias, etc. So I think you're going to find. So would Andrew McCabe using an alias be so surprising if his wife, if Rosenstein's wife was using an alias? Would it be so surprising if Rosenstein used an alias? This is what I look to, and I just say, well, if 8 of the 10 conspirators are using aliases, is it such a stretch? Is it such a stretch that the 2 last conspirators would be using an alias? It's the same thing with the shared Dropbox. If you look at this reporting here with the shared Dropbox, here's Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and I saw Luke on Fox and Friends this morning, did a great job, needs to get a Pulitzer. But here's Debbie Wasserman Schultz admitting that she is using a Dropbox. And she has said here, years I've been using this Dropbox. And then if you just combine Luke's articles, data is being funneled to a secret server. How is data being funneled to a secret server? With a Dropbox, with a shared Dropbox. Again, the conspirators are showing you here we are using a shared Dropbox. We are using an alias, 123, with a shared Dropbox to funnel to a secret server. Where have you heard that before? The Hillary server, the Huma server, the One server. It's just happening over and over again. Alias to shared Dropbox to funnel to secret server. That's the plan. That's the modus operandi. And I hope that seems obvious, but it's very difficult to convince people on the internet that this is happening. So I just want to let you know that I'm not backing away from organ recovery and any of that HHS stuff that may have been happening. I'm looking into it. One of the interesting things that's happening with uranium-1 is just a lot of great, we're talking with the whistleblowers out there. Task Force has done a great job with that. And talking about, hey, how these guidance documents that these agencies issued, EPA, energy, that sort of thing, this is not law. This doesn't say, well, now the court system's null and void now. We've issued a guidance document. And there's just been a lot of Andrew Weissman kind of browbeating with these guidance documents, and that's not our court system. That's not our law. These are administrators making up law, and then giving it the color of law by beatings. So, and I just want to say, a lot of people in Kosovo today thanked me for continuing the work on Yellow House and stuff. This is a modus operandi. When you go over this hill here on this little road between Albania and Kosovo, and you go grab a couple of prisoners, and then you bring them back, and then you take them to the Yellow House and harvest their organs. Now, admittedly, they weren't maybe necessarily picked out, like maybe they had health problems already. Maybe there was a brain hemorrhage. They were dying from a brain hemorrhage already, a very sharp, forced, blunt instrument. They're going to die anyway. And so we were just recovering the organs. But I'm just saying that there has been a pattern in practice. You have to look at pattern in practice. That's all I'm saying. So finally, so I'm not backing away. Finally, there's this, someone wrote me a letter and said, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to show your name there. I'll try to mask that. Where about Iridium phones and how Iridium phones would get communications you could hide from NSA. And so here's this very outstanding firm here called NAL Research over in Manassas, Virginia. And this Dr. Huang here was talking about it, and she mentioned this whole thing. And he chuckled, and he said, I know exactly what he means when I said using Iridium phones to avoid communications. And this is something that these people that were making this equipment really have to be concerned about, and they work with DHS and so forth to make sure that people aren't using their phones for illegal methods. So I don't think I'm far off on the Iridium phones. Here's some of their products here, there's a whole bunch of satellite products. Now again, if you're Imran one of the reasons I kind of came up with a sympathetic story for Imran one, soccer ball to truck driver to working at the port of Karachi, then Qasim, then going on the boat to America or flying to America, and then kind of getting into the logistics end of this business and the satellite end of this business. Now, Alvi is certainly the satellite expert, and Imran was more the ground organizer and fixer, but still you can see how important this would be. The Blue Water piece of this, which is going to be Blue Water Holdings, I believe, out of Florida, is an important piece. You need the Navy, but you also need the blue sky. You need the blue sky, because if you don't have an ability to see on the Earth from all these different surveillance points that your boat's about ready to be boarded by a foreign government and their Navy, it's not going to be a very good business. You're going to have a lot of tankers getting confiscated, and you're going to have a lot of contraband being confiscated. So the blue sky piece of this thing is every bit as important. Now, does Fusion GPS, when they hire Nellie, or who's a Russian expert, they hire her here in Washington D.C. She's this Russian expert. Do they hire her to bring in hackers, from the ex-Soviet states, USSR states? Who knows? I don't really know the answer to that, but I think we're going to find out. We already found out one of the 112 transactions that was hidden was to pay her, and they paid her, I believe, $1 million for that PP dossier. So that's a lot of money. It sounds like there's a lot of visas involved in that, and it sounds like people moving to Maryland and Centreville to be close to these fiber races, because I don't think they did the hacking of Trump and all the Trump associates from Russia. I think they did them from Silver Spring, Maryland. But we'll get more to that. We'll develop that out as we get more evidence around the Silver Spring and the fiber tap at Silver Spring. But those are the stories that we're working this morning.